right, this is going to be a quick overview of how self-concept tends to shift throughout childhood and adolescence. So we're going to do a review of what some of the current research that we have indicates right now. So early on in childhood, right around the age of 3 to 5 years old, when children are having more of a mastery over their language, they're able to think about themselves and develop a self-concept that is pretty basic. Like if you ask a 3-year-old to describe themselves, they're going to give you pretty simple answers, right? They'll usually say, I'm 3, I'm a girl, and I have a dog, right? Or something of that. I'm 3 and I'm a boy and I love macaroni. They're going to give you very basic descriptions: age, gender, what they like, what their house is like, might mention something about their parents, but it's going to be very basic, specific, and concrete. And this is about age 3 to 5 that they do this. Now, during early childhood years, they'll begin incorporating some more emotions, right? So then they might start adding in things of, and I'm happy when I'm at school, or and I'm sad when my dad gets home from work late, or something like that. They'll start throwing in some emotional things, or I get mad at my sister easy, things like that. So childhood tends to have pretty concrete self-concepts. And as they get older, they're going to start to have more and more of an evaluation of what they're good at, and they're going to start adding some of those in to their emotions as well. In adolescence is really where we tend to see a shift in self-concept. They're able to have more abstract thinking, and this leads to them often pointing out the contradictions in their self-concept. So you start to see them saying things like, I'm really an outgoing person, except in these situations when I'm really shy and withdrawn. Or I generally tend to be a happy person, but these are the things that make me feel upset or angry or moody or something like that. I'm really smart when it comes to math, but I am not a good writer, something like that. So as they have more abstract thinking and the ability to hold contradictory ideas in harmony, they start to express that more with their self-concept and to draw more on these contradictions that they see within themselves and on these differentiations they see within themselves. One thing that's really interesting that we also start to see in adolescents as they describe their self-concept is we start to see them becoming increasingly concerned about the evaluation that other people will make on them based on societal standards. And so you start to see them emphasizing traits more like, I'm friendly, I'm trustworthy, I'm a good friend, I'm considerate of my family members. They start to highlight things that would address the way that they know their society is evaluating them based on, are they a good person? They start to add in more language related to their moral standards into their self-description. I have high morals. I try not to lie. I never cheat at school. Things like that. They word elements about their self-concepts in a way that emphasizes that they're a good person. As they start dating, they often tend to begin to incorporate language about their preferences in romantic relationships, what they like in a partner, what their dating values are, and things of that nature. And then you're also seeing a lot of transition because this is often the time period where individuals experience having their first job. And so you see their self-concept shift into things that'll describe what kind of a worker they are, right? I'm always the hardest worker, or I'm the only person that shows up 15 minutes early for my shift because I want to make sure stuff gets done, or things of that nature. So they start adding in these extra details of these new life experiences that they're having in romantic relationships and first jobs and things like that. Now, as we talked about in the last video, even though self-concept and self-esteem are different constructs, we do know that they are highly related. One thing that we see is that in the United States, there is a decline in positive self-concept. There's a decline in the positive self-evaluations that adolescents hold. And there's a bit of a difference in the ages that this happens for girls and for boys. In girls, it's often right around age 12 that we start to see a decline in those positive self concepts being expressed. Or for boys, it's closer to around age 14 that we start to see that decline. About age 14 and 16 is when that's going to pit. That's going to be the lowest. And then after that, it does tend to generally recover later into mid-adolescence. But it's not uncommon for kids to go through a really rough time between about age 14 and 16 in terms of having a declining positive self-concept. And again, that does tend to start a couple years earlier for girls. So you see it around age 12, with the lowest point being ages 14 to 16. It will recover, but it's important to offer a lot of support during this time, pointing out things they're good at and making sure to emphasize that not being good at something does not have to automatically impact their self-esteem, that they can have that evaluation of, okay, so you're not good at this thing, but here's all these other things you're good at, and that's okay. You don't have to be good at everything. That's very important during the adolescent years, that they have someone who's speaking that to them. Because we do know that those negative self-concepts during adolescent years, it's very easy for that to translate to damages to their self-esteem. It's very easy for that to translate to maladaptive emotions. So that can be a huge challenge of the adolescent years in general. So that is a quick recap of what the current research shows us on how some of these shifts in self-concept happen throughout childhood and adolescence.